Where did Chase go? Is he taking a shit? What happened to that guy?
He might have got to his side. Hell yeah, man.
What'd you get out here?
Go ahead, guys. I'm good. I'm just, this is all new to me. This is my brand new studio.
Chase cleaned up, son. He made his bed.
It looks smooth for me.
Last week we were talking about how, because Chase had all of his laundry on that chair behind him, and we were talking about that. Do you fold your clothes, Duval?
Do I fold my clothes? Well, I live out of a suitcase, so I guess I have to kind of. But I fold my clothes, but I'm definitely a make my bed guy. I think it all starts there. And I think because I don't know, the amount of times I've had a girl come over and it's just like the room's just been sloppy, and it was like the one time I didn't make my bed, and she doesn't judge you fully, but she does enough of it
Yeah, like, you don't want to make it any more difficult to get to that bottom line. You know what
right, I got fucking towels woven into sheets that are spun into a weird. It's not a good look.
I gotta get my car seat.
Just a pillow. Jesus
I gotta
Christ.
raise the seat up a little bit.
All right, let's get into it, guys. All right, everybody, we are back. Welcome back to the Ready Set Blow podcast, episode 235 for Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. Today, though, is Martin Luther King Day. And in honor of Martin Luther King Day, I thought to have on nobody better than our good friend and the mystery man. He's an actor, he's a comedian, he's a writer. He wrote a great book that I just bought, haven't read yet, Duval, but the book is called How to Manage Your Girlfriend's White Guilt and Other Horrifying Tales of Rich White Liberals. Great title. Everybody give it up for Duval Culpepper. Thanks for having us. Thanks for coming on, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered by black men today. I like it. That's the way I like it in my world.
Hey man, that's America's trend right now, man. We're working on it, man.
Listen, before, listen, man. We got to get this right. Randy, we got to get this right before we start with this.
All right.
You are not outnumbered, my friend. Randy Duval, unbeknownst to you, he is half black, sir.
That's
wow. All these years.
I'm half Dominican, which I guess is essentially black. I call myself a closeted black man.
I can see it, man. I mean, you got some tendencies, man. I see how you operate out there, man.
Yeah, it's not
right. Yeah, come on, man. On a dark and stormy Boston night, man. I see how you move after an open mic, baby. Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Good old days.
So Chase
all
and I.
All right. So yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say. So Chase and I have known you since I started doing comedy. I started doing comedy like a little over 4 years ago in Boston, and always friendly with you, but have no idea about your background, where you came from. You come in and out of Boston. You travel all over the country. So you're a bit of a man of mystery, even though we've been friends for like 5 fucking years at this point.
Yeah. Well, it's like, so my journey is like, I never spend much time like in any one comedy scene. And like, as I like approach my mid 30s and like go to therapy and realize like what my problems are, it's like, I'm always just bouncing around and shit, cause I can't ever stay still. So like, I meet a lot of people and I meet a lot of like, I get friendly with a lot of people, particularly in comedy scenes, but then I disappear cause I'm like, I can't be here. I gotta be in New York again because that's where I think I need to be. And then I hang out there for 5 weeks and I leave. So I do a lot of bouncing around, but I'm trying to stay put these days, you know?
I feel like that's healthy though for a comic to have that adventurous spirit. I mean,
well, you know what? Like early on, I'm so glad I did that when I did, because like from pretty much 24 till now, I would just like up and go. Like I moved to LA. It's kind of started there, I guess.
So where are you from originally?
I grew up in New York City. I'm from Harlem.
Okay, so you're from Harlem. I assume you went to college. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Everson up in Boston.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that's your connection to Boston. And then you got started in comedy how long after?
This is where Randy interviews are like, you're fucking like applying for a job.
I want to get some context.
I have a lot of experience in this area, and I'm really a team player. I really look forward to joining the firm, which is actually funny. I'm actually doing this I got like a corporate job apparently, but since everything's remote now, I actually probably shouldn't say this. I'm not going to name the company because they're a fantastic company, but I'm weirdly like in the corporate world now. So like I did kind of have to play that game. But to your point, I started comedy like way after college. I started in New York for like a year. Then I moved to LA in 2013 and kind of like really like got into it there. And that's why I started doing all those commercials and all that bullshit. And that was like my first taste of like, you know, what I guess, you know, professional comedy was, just because you're close to it. But I was just a bullshit open micer forever. It still am, basically, I guess. But
we all are.
But then, yeah. That's the thing. It's like it's so hard to know like when you're actually like doing what you're supposed to be doing in the comedy world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to measure it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I would work jobs. Like I'd book a commercial in LA, and they're like, well, shit, I'm gonna buy like a '91 Mercedes and drive to Milwaukee and see what their scene is like. So I would just like kind of like sample the country's comedy scenes and try to figure out try to put together what it really was. You know?
And you were doing this at just what, like gig money from doing a couple commercials a year here and there?
Yeah, because I was just, again, been living out of a suitcase for probably a decade, basically. Like, I always kept it light, so, like, I'd sublet for a little while, and then, like, when it was time to up and bounce, I'd be like, what are the white women in Nevada like? And then I'd drive out there and just be like, okay, this is cool. So I've seen a lot of comedy scenes in the country, so.
Which one's your fave?
Well, all right, so I always think about this shit. Like, Boston, and I've always wanted to figure out the platform to say this, like, Boston is like soldiers. You know, like there's something about like for as sort of petty as Boston can be and how much like infighting there can be. There's so much like love and respect for like hard working, like the hustle of what it is to do stand up that always made me fucking love being in Boston and like just being in the shit. Like even like when someone's like bombing at like Middle East or whatever the fuck or, you know, whatever open mic, there was like such like a camaraderie that like LA doesn't really have that, for example. So Boston had a lot of that, and that's what I really respected about the Boston scene.
Got it. And which scene did you spend the most time in, would you say?
LA. So when I first got out there, that was where I was like living, hanging out, and it showed me like New York taught me like writing, Boston taught me the hustle, and LA taught me the business. Okay. It's kind of how I look at it. But you know, when the business part of it is just like has none of the fun of comedy, I always found. Like in LA, it's kind of like you got your one or two people, but outside of that, you know, that camaraderie is just not there, you know? For me.
I could see that. I mean, because LA is like that just in general in terms of it being insular and that, you know, everyone's in their own neighborhoods. You're always in your car. It's not like, you know, no one's walking around taking the fucking tea or anything like that.
Yeah, that hang wasn't there. But like, so that's what made me want to be like, well, you know, what are other comedy scenes like? And then also you get sort of like the model actress people who call themselves comedians in LA. You know, they're like, my manager told me I should do the stand up. And then you got like, you know, some fucking Barbie or Ken, you know, standing up there being like, our audition's hard. And like, you know, that's not going to like, you know, resonate in, you know, Youngstown, Ohio. So I don't know.
Now, Chase, had you known Culpepper longer than me? Because I don't know when you were on the scene, Duval. Like, I don't remember if Chase introduced me to you or if I met you at a show.
I mean, I showed up in 2017, I think, in Boston, right?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, so I started in 2016, so it had to be early on. I didn't know if you had known Chase a while longer or not.
Yeah, Chase, where do we meet? Is this like open mics and shit? I think we just came across each other. You know, I think we all just kind of like found each other funny, and it was like, well, I found you guys funny. I don't know if you found me funny.
Of course, yes. Thank you. Well, I also feel like all three of us. Go ahead, Chase.
Oh, yeah. No, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, because I feel like we all, it might have been at like at Red Bones or one of it was, I feel like we were all a little bit not in the comedy studio scene, as it were, because it wasn't, you know, because it had closed for a bit. So we were, I don't want to say edgier, but I feel like a little dirtier or more club-like. And we went,
you know, I think
went to all those
what
new
was
rooms.
the spot on the corner, that open mic? Not Middle East, but the other one.
Is that the one that Mike, what's his name? Mike Tanian's room?
Yeah, I think whatever that corner open mic was, like you're in the window.
Oh, that is the Middle East. That is the Middle East.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Middle East, like I think I did one of my like white women, you know, like sets or whatever, and like everyone's arms are just crossed. But I went outside, and I think all you guys were just like, "This ain't your crap, man." Like, you know, like you acknowledge that it was just like, look, there's two types of comedy in Boston, or two types of comedy anywhere. There's like the real sort of like hipster ironic, like non-threatening, like, you know, passive aggressive bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's us who are just fucking, you know, swinging our balls around and just being like actual human beings, you know? I found.
Yeah. I remember, I do remember the first time I met you, it was at Laugh Boston. And you were coming in for a guest set because I was working at the club at the time. And yeah, and then I mentioned the green room, you just talking, and then we became cool from there, you know. Then from there, I do remember you kind of like being in the scene for a little bit. Then you would also, like you said earlier in the podcast, like you would feel the need to kind of leave and go do comedy like at a different state, because, I just felt like, because every time I would follow you on social media and stuff, I would see you like in the woods somewhere for like 3 months. And then the next year, like in Malibu, like I'm just like,
that literally is my life, from the woods to Malibu, the Duval Culpepper story. Yeah. That's like
Randy, it was so funny, Randy, because I would see his pictures and I'm just like, I don't know what this guy's doing or what he does.
This guy didn't know what he was doing either. I was just like, I gotta go. I don't know. I should have just stayed.
I became a big fan. I became a big fan supporter, however you want to call it these days. But when you bought, or the Beamer that you had, that you was riding around, Randy, this guy has class, man. Duval has class.
Oh, yeah.
Duval, please tell Randy the car that you had he was driving around with.
All right, so I had a couple, and this is the story here. So
this fucking guy had a couple.
They're all pieces of shit from Craigslist for $1,000, man. I wasn't like out being like, let me get a brand new. It was a 95. The first one was a 95 525i BMW Olympic Games edition. So it was the 1996 Olympic Games edition, which had no other difference than it had like Olympic Games, like decals, like on the interior.
It added drip, son. It added drip. Son.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So with some drip, and then I sold that. Then I got like a 92 BMW that I was cruising around in. And I'll say, man, like the romantic aspect of just like Night Rider cruising into Nashville, for example. I just cruised into Nashville after a 13-hour drive to an open mic and just like walked in. Don't know nobody, didn't call nobody. I was just like, sign up. And then there's just something about like being the lawman in the Wild West, like the High Plains drifter that just shows up. And when you got your jokes down right and you just kind of not impressed, but like you just do your work in front of other people and they're like, okay, he's one of us. That was the most beautiful shit, when you could just show up and demonstrate and then let your jokes just sort of define like, I'll fuck with him.
Yeah, that's what it is in my opinion. I think stand-up comedy is all about, at the end of the day, for me, is the jokes is going to determine if you are accepted in the comedy community, like in terms of as like, you know what I mean? Like
it's the great equalizer.
It's the great equalizer, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like that's what I've always. That's why it pains me to kind of see what maybe comedy's become, because I don't know, between like not really being in a city, because I've been upstate for a while, like for like a year or two, like upstate New York, and the pandemic and stuff, you can kind of see like the shift of like, all the politics of comedy. I mean that like literally, like, news, like what's acceptable, like all the shit that's going on.
Yeah.
But I always loved that, like, at least when I was coming up and when we were coming up, it was just like, if you were funny, that's it. Like when you're just undeniable, or you understand like the hustle, it's like, I don't know. I always loved that. And like that gravitation towards one another was always just like, yeah, that motherfucker ate shit for 15 minutes and he enjoyed every minute of it. And we laughed our asses off afterwards, and shout out to Matt Amabello, because, he was one of the homies in Boston and stuff.
Matt's been on the podcast.
Like, watching each other eat shit was like the best. That's why I loved it,
Well, yeah, trying to figure it out in front of your friends and then taking shit for it as soon as you got off stage. Like, what the fuck were you thinking trying to, like, I don't know, man. I found it, when I wrote it down, it was funny in my head. It was funny in my head.
Or be like, when you get nervous before a set and be like, I don't know, I'm gonna try this one tonight. And you're like, all you can do is be like, yeah, try that. But they weren't in the right mindset. You can like see your buddy being like, they're in their head. That ain't gonna go well.
Well, I like watching them bail on something I knew they were gonna do. Like, they bail on a bit.
The bail is like, man, you should just at least
they didn't like those first
man.
two. I'm not gonna do these next three examples. They don't.
Yeah.
Let me switch.
I remember we were at an open mic, and I think this is when Randy might have just started. Yeah, you might have started, but I don't know if you were a year in yet, Randy. But it was so funny. A comedian was bombing Duval, like bad, And it was, for me, it was like Randy just. I don't know if Randy remembers this, but Randy walked like just by the comic, just looked at him and was just like, "Dude, you're bombing, bro."
Oh yeah, no, I have a. Oh my god!
I was just like, part of me was like, "Oh man, don't do that, right?"
Yeah.
But the other part was like, it was so fucking funny because it was true.
I remember what show it was. It was my last show at the Hideout. before I left, before it closed, because I think it closed before I left, or at least the last night that Hetty was running it. Hetty was running that Wednesday night at the Hideout, which was just a fucking free for all. I mean, like the fucking gutter boys would show up, Tommy and them, and Big D, and it was a fucking romper room, and that was I think I have a clip of that on my phone actually. Some kid was going up, and I knew the guy, so it wasn't like some fucking stranger I didn't know. I wasn't attacking a stranger, but he was like me, 6-7 months in, and he was just having a rough one, and the room was so quiet. I walked by the way to the bathroom, like, you're bombing, and then the whole room heard it. So I feel bad.
That's like Patrice O'Neal shit.
Yeah. Making that face.
That's some real shit. But
that goes back to that brotherhood stuff, man. Like, listening to old Opie and Anthony with Patrice on, like, the ball bustingness and the honest ball busting is just like, that's what makes you, I think, just like, great in this, but it's also like what makes it the most enjoyable. And I don't know, you find places and people who like aren't about that, and they just want to be like supported. Like the thing I hate most is seeing like supportive open mic. Like, that is the last fucking place that I want to be. I want to be with no support. I want my balls drifting in the wind, getting beat the fuck up, man. Well,
you don't know that's the thing. If you're too supportive, you don't know if you're getting any better. Like, if people are giving you courtesy laughs, that's not going to help you if you're in front of a real crowd. You're gonna that bombing might be delayed, but that bombing is still going to come. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to bomb in shitty rooms so you don't bomb in good ones.
Yeah, perfectly put. But then you'll find a lot of that. So Chase, like, what's going on in Boston? Still shut down, Chase? Right? Like, nothing's happening, or.
I mean, I'm not sipping in Malibu, and one day I'm skiing every other weekend like you, but it's all right. It's not totally shut down. Restaurants are open only until like 9:30, and then takeout after that. You can still like be outside. You can still go to work. You can still get gas. You can, So.
But are there any shows?
I mean, shit, man. You can do that in North Korea. That doesn't sound like a selling point.
I know, exactly. Are there shows?
I'm a minimalist. I'm a minimalist at heart, man. I'm sorry.
you could get gas. What kind of dystopian?
I didn't know I was fucking trying to sell you a car.
Wow.
Speaking of minimalist,
are there like outdoor shows or anything, or like were there kind of thing like?
Oh, well, they were up until, the winter, like.
It's January, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was, it was a couple places. Some guys were doing some good stuff. They did the best they could up until, the rules came down. So, I don't know. I know Rainey's in LA. I know that's pretty much like lockdown over there. You're in New York right now?
No, I'm in LA too. I just got it.
Oh, that's right. You're in LA. Oh, geez. Yeah. Oh, so you guys, have you guys like ended up like linking up? Well, this is the first time you guys.
I've been here like a week. I just got a spot, so I'm just getting settled and shit. So.
Right. I'm sorry. I forgot who I was talking to. I'm sorry.
Night Rider. Yeah.
Speaking of, Chase mentioned being minimalist. I think that's something that we all kind of share. Especially you, because I know you basically live out of a car. When did you make that decision? And was that like something like in college, you kind of wanted to always be a little bit of a drifter?
You know what I'm
saying?
I never wanted any deep, meaningful connections or any longevity in my friendships. So I figured I'd just destroy anything resembling consistency in my life. No, I think it was. Well, I'll put it to you like this: like when I first moved to LA, because I used to own a coffee shop, so I left Emerson.
Oh no shit.
I owned and ran a very successful coffee shop into bankruptcy.
Where is that? In Boston?
It was in upstate New York. It was in Beacon, New York, like outside the city, like an hour, which is now like the Westchester of like New York or whatever.
Duval does look like he's up on his chai.
Yeah, he looks like a coffee guy, son. I want a guy like Duval making my coffee. There you go. I want a guy with a funny hat and a weird mustache. I want the hipsterest hipster ever. They make the best coffee.
When I go through puberty, I'll get that mustache going. So I fucked up my coffee shop, and then I was like, well, I suck at business. Let me go like gamble on LA. And when I was there, I was like really doing it. I was like doing commercials. I was like dating this beautiful girl. Shout out Melissa. If you're ever watching this, you're probably not. Because she doesn't want to speak to me anymore ever again.
At Chase Sable.
But yeah, I don't know why I just like felt the need to wander. But I know if I didn't do it then, I know if I didn't do it when I was like 24, like I just am 34 now. Like I just knew psychologically like that was the time to go like be a jackass, like wear Hawaiian shirts still and like just drift across America and like figure it out and figure out like what I liked and figure out if I was missing something. And I'm glad I saw the places I did, but I also realized like, I like Milwaukee. I don't know if I'm going to fucking live there and like be the comedy king of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Even though I like the fact that there's 6 foot tall white women everywhere, it's like, I learned how to balance what's important. So that's why I'm kind of back here, I think.
Now, speaking of white women and things that we all share, a love of them. I know Chase has a deep fascination with them.
Sure. Yeah. I got to tell you, ladies.
What? So how did the book come about? Because I did buy it. I haven't read it yet. But what was the genesis of the book? Was this a specific girl you were dating?
Well, yes and no. So the book was kind of like, I always write, like, so, and it came from those drives, really, from those journeys of just kind of bouncing back and forth between New York and LA for like 7 years. And
then the name of the book, just for
how to manage your girlfriend's white guilt and other horrifying tales of rich white liberals. Volume 1.
Volume 1.
Volume 1. So yeah, I would just always write my ridiculous situations I would find myself in, and then like 7 years later, I was like, oh, there's like 150 pages of journey. So like, let me like really think about like putting this together into something that's like a theme. And yeah, so it's just like all of my sort of like consistent interactions with like girls who think they're like progressive or woke, but are actually just as racist as their fathers, but just like, manifested differently. And just because they're dating a light skinned black guy, they think they're like, okay, yeah, like I'm good. Like they're not, it's like that sort of hypocrisy is what I've kept finding. And they're still all like date rich white girls, but at least now I have some perspective on what I'm fucking dealing with, I think.
And what are some of the lessons you got from that, like that you can share with Chase? Because I know he's a man looking for some answers.
Well, it's just like I just have like tells and like red flags and stuff, and it's just like on dating apps even like the more I don't know, I just find myself with more like mildly racist white girls because at least they're aware of their failings, and you can kind of just be like, "What are you talking about?" They're just like, "Well, I'm blue, back to blue." They're just like they mean well, but they're just like not getting the right information. But like some girl who went to like Emerson or like Wesleyan or whatever and has never known a black person in their entire life, but is on Instagram telling the rest of America what needs to happen politically is like, stop telling other white people how to white people, white person. It's like let's allow some self-governing and black people to freaking have an opinion here, because my Instagram is all white women telling me who we need to defund, who we need to vote for, and what businesses need to shut down. So
that's
for 2036.
That's pretty
That's something Chase and I talk about a lot in this podcast. How like it seems that well-to-do, well-educated white women like take the fucking flagpole for every oppressed movement and make it their own and somehow like co-opt it.
Yeah.
And, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it seems weird to me because, like you said, not a lot of them like are really immersed in black culture. Like, I don't see them going to fucking double dutch tournaments when they were 12. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, that and like I'm like, have you seen "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker"? Because if you haven't, like, I don't want to hear about your opinion about like how Trump's a racist. You need to watch "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker" first, or Crush Groove or Beat Street or anything before you come trying to talk to me about like black culture. So it's exactly that. But then here's the thing that they do: they try to pretend like they're not complicit in the stuff they're trying to like smash. All these dating profiles are like, we got to smash the patriarchy and dismantle capitalism. I'm like, yeah, right after it co-signs on your fucking mortgage because your dad's buying you a house and you're benefiting from his banker job. Once you buy your house, then you'll like smash the system that you've benefited from. So like they front like they're not a part of the problem, and it's like, just be honest. And that's why it's like the white girl in Charleston, South Carolina with a Confederate flag bikini. At least she knows that she's racist. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And to say that, I mean, some of them aren't even part of the problem. Some of them are just agnostic, but by co-opting the legitimate grievances of other people, they delegitimize it. You know what I'm saying? They make it seem more trivial. And it's like, it's fucking alienating. Like, it's one thing to be sympathetic, but you can't empathize with with growing up in the south side of Chicago unless you've been there. Like, So I don't know.
So exactly. And buying a house there that you're gentrifying everyone else away from does not mean like you are of the culture. Like you're deleting shit and being like, okay, I'm here now. Okay, Black Lives Matter, just not here. Like, you know, Black Lives can matter in West Ellis, Wisconsin, or whatever. You know, it's like it's insane how they're not criticized culturally, and that's the only reason I always talk about white women. It's because they're talking on my behalf, but no one's challenging their perspective. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm just like, we got to hit pause here.
That's a big no-no these days, man. You can, I mean, like they might be leading the charge on cancel culture. Like,
because women often are like, you know, like, and people underestimate the strength of black people. You know, what some white girl from Emerson finds offensive, you know, your average black person is like, yeah, I've been dealing with that shit my entire life. Like, we got other problems. You know what I mean? So I think there's, you know, again, degrees of that co-opting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Chase, to his credit, famously said that. Like, I remember the podcast we did. You remember saying this, Chase? Right after Trump got elected, I asked you, what do you think? And Chase's response was, he's like, this isn't the first racist president we've had. He's like, black folks, this is back to normal. We had 1 out of 44. We're back to normal. Like, this is not.
Right. And then back to this, like some woman with like a rainbow flag mask on came up to me like right after Biden won. And she's like, aren't you excited? I was like, about what? She's like, Biden winning? I'm like, oh yeah, another old white guy who has said some wildly racist shit in his career is president. Like, I mean, I'll take him over Trump, but like, you know, this ain't, you know, fucking Obama too. I mean, I don't know. It's just the whole thing. People are just like,
Yeah, I think what's really frustrating too. I think for you know, people, I guess, in the black community, which I'm not speaking for in totality. What I'm just saying, like, I guess in generality, I would say, like, I think what even is a little bit more frustrating, or even equivalent to like what you were saying, is that the frustration of still trying to explain our strife and what we have to have gone through. You know, for you to just kind of understand why we are screaming certain things, like, you know what I mean? That's frustrating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just like well, again, on either side, you know, whether it's, you know, some white girl with dreadlocks at a Black Lives Matter protest, or someone on the other side who's, you know, like, you know, Blue Lives Matter, which is just like these stupid arguments. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, people don't even really know the point they're trying to make. Right. And it's like no one's saying, like, you know, shoot up all the cops, you know, like maybe some people are, but that's not the prevalent, you know, mentality. It's just like there needs to be some understanding of how we, you know, interact with one another. But all people can do is go to these extremes and not, you know, really understand what they're saying. Like you're saying, like, falsely empathize with us on either side of it. So whether it's like some rich white girl or some poor racist redneck, it's just like, why is there no like subtlety in conversation? But
yeah. Are you like a politically active guy? Because I mean, I've seen your comedy, and I don't consider it political. It's more cultural. It's more culturally observational.
Politics are always going to change. Like, I think to come down hard on any one side of anything is like, it's kind of short-sighted. What doesn't change is how people behave and how we think. You know, these are the consistent things, and that's what I try to like look at. So like, whether it's Trump or somebody else, there's going to be some other far right-wing asshole, and there's going to be like all these ridiculous situations. So like, I don't know. For me, it always just comes down to like booty, I think. who we fucking why is really like what our society is. So I try to always distill it to these like, I don't know. I don't know what I just talk about my experience, which is just like, I don't get excited easily by like culture. I'm always trying to be like, wait, what the fuck is happening? Because people go to these like extremes. I don't know.
Which is interesting because, you know, we've been fucking each other's like for not like us, me and you. I'm saying like people, like, you know what I mean? But like, even though we've been like fucking each other for all these years, like, you know, we still don't understand each other. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's crazy about it. Like, you know, a comedian said that, you know, just the other day, and it just connected. Now what you just said, you know, he goes, it's crazy how all of like the diversity of people we have in this world, and we all have been fucking each other for like all these years. You know, it still doesn't mean that you understand where that person came from. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but also, you know, getting outside of your bubble. I know that's like an easy thing to say, but that's another part of why I took all these drives over the years, because you know, the news or society would give me one sort of like, here's what this is and here's how it is. And I was like, well, is that true? So even like during the pandemic in April, I drove to South Carolina. My dad got released from prison early, and I was in quarantine at my mom's house. My mom told me 6 days before he was getting out of prison that he was going to be living with us. So that's a whole separate story. But I decided to bounce. And
to be honest with you, I just want to stop the podcast now and just talk about your dad.
Yeah, what'd your dad get into, son?
Oh man, my father. That was you see The Equalizer 2 with Denzel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
When he's got the gun, he's like, "Come on, yum, come on, yum. This ain't," like he yokes up that little dude and tries, like, "Look at my son, like, look at my, this ain't fear." Like,
yeah. That's
basically what happened with me and my dad, because I was trying to get him to like quarantine, because we were in a quarantine, and he wanted some crab legs, and I was like, "There's nowhere open. Like we're staying here." He said, "You ain't nobody's godfather." And he's a 6'4" brother from the Bronx, and I'm a 5'7" kid who went to Emerson. And I thought I was a lot more tough than I'm not. My father's a career criminal who made me quickly realize that I'm not 6'4" and 230 pounds.
You know what I realized? I think to be honest with you, Duval, I think that's not your father.
Yeah.
Someone misled you, man. You gotta have a conversation with somebody in that family. 6'4", and you're what?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's like, well, that's encouraging. Then maybe there is hope. But that's a whole whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I got to South Carolina, height of the pandemic. I seen this like white guy with like tattoos and flip flops. I'm at this hotel. He's arguing with the front desk because they don't got the kind of liquor that he wants. And then I'm on the balcony watching this shit. No one has a mask on, by the way. They didn't believe in that shit then. They don't believe in that shit now. It comes out a black guy same age with his family. And I shit you not, the black guy has a bottle of Hennessy behind his back. And he comes up, and I'm just seeing this with no words. He goes up to the black dude, and he goes, and the white guy takes it, swigs it. And they're both drinking, no mask on, height of the pandemic, Jesus. Laughing and having a good time. And I walked out, and I was like, and this is right after George Floyd. So this is like right at the height of like, we're going to kill each other racially thing. But I went out and I told them, I'm just like, I just want to let you guys know that the news and my Facebook tells me this shouldn't be happening. There's a redneck white family and this black family sharing some Hennessy, laughing in the middle of a pandemic. So my point is like, you got to get out and see America, because it's not always what this narrative of like, Trump supporters, sieging the Capitol, at like the entire country. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Speaking of which, it's a good time to have you on. What do you think of those Capitol riots, my friend?
I always try to find the middle ground and shit, but that was the one time where I'm like, hey, like. Because you know what it is? It's just like all summer and like this entire pandemic, they're rioters, they're looters, and like, all that like anti-Black Lives Matter sentiment. And then you saw, their version, like their turn at it. And it's just like, wait, okay, so you guys are doing the shit that you said was so like delegitimizing of the Black Lives Matter movement. And here you guys are like some patriots, bitching and moaning because, a congressionally certified election didn't go your way. And now, you're acting like, there's no excuse. It's fucking
like petulant children.
It's heartbreaking, because you got all these guys who are about like, order and the process and the United States and like patriotism and the Constitution. And then when it doesn't, what's that?
Rule of law too. Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it doesn't go their way, nah, but again, at the same time, does that represent all Trump supporters? I don't know. I don't know how many Trump supporters saw that and were like, yeah, go get him. Or were they just like, all right, this is, I don't know. I don't know what
what the answer is there.
I mean, I try to follow like weird groups on Facebook just to get like, that'll probably put me on an NSA list. But like, I really try to understand I think the most outspoken Trump people that I know on my Facebook and in social media have been conspicuously quiet in recent weeks. So I don't know.
I was just trying to find any black people in that crowd, man. Like
there were some. There were some surprisingly.
There's always one cross-eyed black dude who's like, there's always.
There's always
I
one
just want
dumb
to see what he
motherfucker.
was wearing, if there was any I just really wanted to find the black person in that crowd, and I just wanted to see what that black person chose to wear. Was he dressed up like Hood with the J's on, and he's like, or was he like, like a real, like he was wearing camouflage and he was full like throttle,
Yeah, no, he had camouflage or some Air Force Ones on. He was trying to preserve his dignity somehow, but he next to his heavyset white wife. I think that's
It's always some ugly
that's
bitch.
the play. And then they went to Panera Bread and had dinner and said grace before eating Panera Bread there.
They went to an old country buffet.
What? That sounds like me, man. What the fuck? You been following me?
Yeah, man, I always keep tabs on you. Yeah, man, that's just wild. I mean, there is a group called Black Guns Matter. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that.
I have not heard of that.
It's this dude, Maj Tory. He is a brother from Philly, and he has this organization called Black Guns Matter. And it's kind of interesting. He advocates like responsible gun ownership in the inner city, and he does like workshops where he tries to get like, young brothers and sisters to like, if they're going to strap up and have a gun, like respect, for as much as you can sort of impart that upon that lifestyle. But I don't think they were at that protest. So
I mean, but there was already a party. There was history of black people doing that, and obviously, Black Panthers.
Well, interestingly, the Black Panthers went to the Capitol, like in the '60s. And armed, and they went in. They didn't do that fucking ridiculous shit that they did recently, but they went in open carry. I mean, they were escorted out, but only because it was like not visitor hours or some shit. So there is an interesting relationship between the black community and the Second Amendment. But that's for my
I do think
Jones podcast.
I do think more African American people should have legal firearms licenses, because I think it would. Balance it out a little bit in terms of, like I feel like these white nationalists have like almost like a fucking monopoly on patriotism and the Second Amendment, when those are, and the Constitution, those are all things that belong to every American. So to abandon,
and also the black community in general has a lot of conservative values. If you really break down the black community, I mean, like I used to do that joke about it or whatever, but like guns, Jesus, and like no gay rights are like very synonymous with black culture in some groups and a lot of like conservative white culture. So like that's the other thing too, going back to like, rich white girls, like they don't really understand like what black values are. And like, I don't know, you go to your average barbecue, in my family at least, and you talk about like transgender rights, like, hey, guy, like, I mean, that's not, that ain't barbecue conversation. So I don't know.
That's funny. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Fuck out of here, man.
Yeah. Pause. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, enough about politics, Duval. Let's get into your personal life.
Let's do it.
So would you agree that with all the movement and stuff like that, and would you you kind of are a representation. You kind of are pretty much like a representation of comedy, because like you move around to different areas, and then you see the landscapes of the country. You come up with material based on your experiences in all these different states and stuff. And what I'm trying to say is basically like comedy is like a moving art form, right? Comedy is like, has to, like, for it to be comedy, it moves, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so I think I always equate that to like people who do what you do, like as really true stand-up comics, because like, you're just going like wherever the energy's going, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And you're able to survive and do it and continue to do it no matter the circumstances. So that's why I fuck with you, son. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the question I have,
I appreciate it, man.
With all this moving around, how's the love life working out? So obviously you're still dating white women. Are you able to maintain relationships, or are these just kind of like friends when you're blowing through town and you kind of hang out with the chick for a couple months and then skip town?
What's a relationship?
Yeah. For you. I mean, what's a relationship?
No, I don't know. I don't know what that word means. What is it? It's interesting. It's like, there was a girl who I've been kind of seeing on and off for a while. And, my transience, definitely compromised the relationship. So like, but it was one of those.
Bitch, son. You scared the bitch?
Basically. I know, she just got fed up with me just like disappearing. You know, like 1 minute I'm in upstate New York, the next minute I'm in fucking Idaho, and she's just like, what the fuck? I'm just like, nah, baby, I'm trying to chase this dream. You don't understand. I gotta understand. Comedy is like, I tried to say what you just said, but a lot less articulately to her. I was like, man, this shit's in motion, bitch. Like, I gotta figure out like where. So, but as I enter my mid 30s now, and like I said, having been glad to sort of float around the country, I'm now more in a mindset. I feel like I can be in a relationship happily now, because I don't have that sense of like, well, what's out there? Like, you know, what's it like in Nashville? You know, like, what's the scene like in Washington, D.C.? It's just like, I lived in those places and did comedy there. So now I feel good. Now I understand it's like, okay, yeah, I can just visit that place, perform and leave. Now I can actually like commit to one place. But it took a while. And it's just been a lot of like strange hotel rooms and like weird older women and, Marriott's in fucking Mishawaka, Indiana. And it's like, it was a lot of fun. I was 27 years old, 26 years old, like hooking up with like MILFs in hotel rooms. It was great.
How old are we talking here, son? How old are we talking here?
How old is Dolly Parton?
Like, what's the biggest age gap between you and a partner?
She didn't serve in the Second World War, but she may have been alive during it at some point. No, I mean,
you fucked Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah. Her name's Rosie. Actually. Yeah. She did. She made the muscle when she was going at it. She Patrick Bateman me. Like late 40s, I'd say is. I've always dated older women. I think I've always sort of gravitated towards like, because as a little kid, like my family would take me to like conferences and like corporate adult shit, and I just had to learn how to talk to adults. So I think weirdly that made me like know how to like spit game to like a 45-year-old when I was like 19 at a club being like, what's up, girl? So this I don't think I've ever really dated a girl my age. Like I've obviously hooked up with girls our age, but like a relationship, like I'm trying to watch like Miami Vice and the A-Team, and like girls don't like want to watch that shit who are our age, you know? So
yo, I've seen you before, man. I've seen you before, dog, and it just came to my mind right now. I've seen you in 1989 at a supermarket in Salem, Massachusetts, the night before Halloween, son.
What, was he in a commercial or something? What the fuck?
No. He was in a supermarket with a hippie white woman wearing linen pants, sandals, a white linen shirt, and he had the swag of like Lenny Kravitz, son.
At 89. Maybe that was my dad.
That was the first time I ever saw a black dude with a white girl.
Oh, really?
Well, so that's interesting. So, yeah, like
which part? The what I just presented as an illustration, or
that's a beautiful picture. Number one, that's just a beautiful imagery to me. But like, what was the first time that you saw a white woman in the context of like, oh, I could have that? You know what I mean? Or like, that's even a possibility? Because I grew up in Harlem, but I went to a really fancy private school. Had I not gone to that private school, I don't know what I might not have had a book.
Yeah. Right. Where'd you go to high school?
A school called the Calhoun School.
Okay.
It was one of these like hippie schools where like you could like curse at your teacher by their first name and shit and like leave class and you weren't having a good day.
How'd you get into that coming out of Harlem?
Talk my way in. My mom, sacrificed a lot. She was like single mom in Harlem, but she really wanted to go to this school as a kid, I guess. And she just like moved heaven and earth to make sure I could go to these like ritzy schools or whatever. And I think I tested horribly, but they just liked how charming I was or some bullshit. And they were less like, this is a well-spoken Negro. Okay, let's put him in. And, that began the path of just sort of seeing like that side of life.
Well, I'm sure I'm sure your mom, her level, I guess her commitment to education for you to have one was very important for her. It seemed like that's what I would take it as.
Yeah, well, it's like I come from just a bunch of thugs and criminals for the most part, and my mom knew that like had I been allowed to like sit on the street corner outside Esplanade Gardens on 147th and Lenox, I would have got absorbed into that life with my like million half brothers who want to, who are a delight, but kind of have a reverence for my father's path. So I think my mom consciously was like, I'm going to push really hard for me to like, just every cliche, 90s like black movie where like the black kid goes to college and shit.
That kind of died down.
I managed to not get shot, but
that kind of died down.
Randy, was that kind of the same experience like for you? Because going to like a different school, or was it similar?
Yeah, it was similar. I mean, I grew up in a single parent household. My mom and dad split up when I was like 11 or 12, and he took off. He was a pain in the ass. But so I was similar in that they put me in accelerated programs and I did all these tests and shit to be able to get into better schools that weren't like my zone schools. You know how that works in New York, Duval. Like your zone high school is basically just a fucking prison. Or a prison holding cell until you actually get in the system. I mean, seriously, it's fucking metal detectors and gates and shit. So so I want to know.
Even the nice ones, like the Frederick Douglass Academy, was a magnet school or whatever, or a charter school. It was around the corner from my house, and like that was like uniforms and shit, and it was like a nicer school, but it was still metal detectors and like armed guards and shit.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a weird environment to learn in. So I was able to test in these schools and same as you, get out of New York, which was a big thing because I felt the same way that like the world was bigger than just as much as I love New York. I knew there was a bigger world out there, and I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
But I was talking about that on I think I tweeted about it like last week. In the 90s, like Dear Mama from Tupac, and there was a lot of those movies that you were talking about where they sort of did more to celebrate single motherhood. Yeah. And it kind of died down lately, and now everyone's fucking idolizing goddamn Kris Kardashian or something.
Right.
But I do feel like there's just not enough respect and support and appreciation given to single mothers out there who hold it down through tough times, son. Like they got your mom got you to school. I got my ass to school. I became something. Not much. And now I'm a comedian because I'm an idiot. But but at one time I was something. And, exactly. And like they're the real survival experts. You know what I'm saying? Like to raise 2, 3, 4 kids by yourself on 1 or 2 jobs, trying to scrape by because you need to be home to be able to manage the kids in the household and shit. I feel like it's just. They're being overlooked again in a weird way, and we're sort of celebrating different figures in society that don't necessarily deserve it, in my opinion. Like a woman who manages her, to fucking get her daughter's sex tape leaked and become a superstar from it. I think it's a weird, perverse way to go.
Right. Yeah, and I think culturally, like, we've again, this goes back to that, like, minority story being co-opted by culture, or like the right aspects of our culture. The right story is not being told, because that hasn't changed. Like there's probably just as many, if not more, single moms working very hard to provide for their children. But something about like, even just the way, black culture has been portrayed in the media, it's just like, say what you will about Bill Cosby, but like the likes of like the Cosby Show, The Parenthood with Robert Townsend,
Family Matters, a favorite of ours.
Yeah, man. Like, none of that shit. There aren't shows like that anymore. And like Blackish, I hate only because it's like, hey, this is about black people, rather than it just being like, just call the show The Andersons or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Yeah. And let authentic black stories be told through that. But it always has to have this like hook versus like, these are people who happen to be black, or, Fresh Prince. Like there's this like, I cried my eyes out when Uncle Phil died in real life. And that was just sort of like, no one, the culture was like, oh yeah, and James Avery, passed away. But like the fucking Will's dad episode. Like, for me watching that as a kid, and the irony, of course, is that like I didn't want my dad, so it was the opposite. But just like the pain of being a black man, that relationship with your father, it's like that story doesn't get told that many times in society.
That is kind of crazy that I didn't really think about it so explicitly. But you're right that. There were black sitcoms before, but it wasn't about them being black. They were just sitcoms with black actors living otherwise normal. You're right, Chase? Otherwise normal lives. And now it's like in your face, like we have to make it about being black instead of just showing the black experience and not making a big fuss about it.
Yeah. Or any minority, I'm sure. It's just like even that fucking like that off the boat some shit. I mean, it's like Korean,
Korean culture.
Yeah, it's just like have people of that background write a story and like let it kind of like go where it wants to go. It's like Fresh Prince was not like, and they happen to be like they're rich black people. Isn't that crazy? It's just like, no, it's just story about black people. Will's from Philly. They're from it. Just
Yeah.
Or even Uncle Phil, like he came from like, you know, like Southern like plantations and shit. Like they do a story about like his background, how he was like a farm boy who like became this, you know, judge and shit. So I don't know, like these are the problems for me. It's like, I'm less concerned about like what Trump's tweeting more so than the lack of stories that are being told. Like Chase, like you're talking about, where it's just like this single mom. It's like, where's her narrative? You know, where is her like well-loved, you know, like funny, quirky show? You know, it's like, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I remember Margaret Cho. Remember Margaret Cho, the comedian Margaret Cho. She actually, a lot of people forget about her, but she was like really trying to pioneer, like, you know, putting more Asian people in on network TV, and she was kind of well before her time, in my opinion, because, you know, she did exactly what you just said, and what Randy said is, you know, she just wrote a sitcom based on like her life and her family. She didn't really make it so like, oh, we're the Asian people, come see what we do. You know, and she just, yeah. So she's, you know, she came from like she actually came from an artsy hippie, like mom and dad. Like a lot of people don't know that. And typically Asian parents are not viewed in an artsy way. You know, they're pretty, it's like math, science, education, you know? So, so it's interesting.
Although I did have a Korean friend growing up, and I'm positive his dad was like a North Korean general that defected or something. Because that motherfucker was like Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. He was just like a mean, angry dude who just like punched walls. But not to generalize all Koreans, I apologize.
You can do it. You're black.
Are there shows you guys are watching now that like you fuck with? Because it's hard for me to get into shows these days, like comedy wise at least.
Oh, I mean, I've currently been rotting my brain out because we went back into lockdown here in LA a couple weeks before Christmas, and me and my roommate, I got sucked into some of the worst trash TV you ever seen in your life, Duval. It's a show called Love Island UK. It is UK. He went for the British variant. Oh yeah. Well, that's the original. So now they have a US and Australian version. But it's a dating show where they put, you know, 5 guys, 5 chicks in a house and basically trap them there for 8 weeks. And the one couple wins at the end, but they keep bringing in new contestants. So it's just constant cheating and fighting and bickering. It's fantastic. It's kind of like watching U.S. politics, but without any of the bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
That's hilarious. Have you been to the UK? Have either of you been to the UK?
No, man. So I went to the UK once for business, but unfortunately, I've done most of my travel. Not unfortunately, just the way it worked out. I've only been to the UK and Europe for business. I've been a bunch of places in South America, a couple places in Asia, and what
are you, a hitman? What'd you do there? Was it?
So actually, before I was going to start comedy, I was planning on living in Colombia for a few months.
So you're a hitman for the Colombian? Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. You know, I like Latin women. What do you want from me? Man? Like, you guys like white chicks, I like Latin ones. Fucking give me a break.
I'm open.
Wait. Just like a guy from New York. Hey, why you busting my balls?
Hey, what you fucking doing? I'm open to Latin women. I just can't write a book about them because they'll find me.
Hey, exactly. They're good with a blade.
And just to answer your question, Duval, no, I've never been to the UK. Not because I didn't have the means. I'm just not allowed to by the U.S. government. Proceed, Randy. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Chase is actually an African immigrant. So he's a refugee. So, so I think he's concerned if he leaves, Trump will leave his ass over there. So wherever he leaves.
There's a lot of that where I'm just like, let me stay put let me get really into this country before I start.
Exactly. I haven't got a ticket since Trump was in office, son.
This guy was really trying to stay. All right.
I've been laying low, bro. Have you done a lot of overseas travel? Have you done some comedy overseas too?
You know, not stand-up. I went to Cape Town, South Africa for a Bacardi commercial I shot in 2010.
Son, I gotta get your commercial agent. I want to go to fucking Cape Town for a shoot.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I gotta get mine back. They got tired of me being depressed and lazy and being like, I don't want to be flown across the world and like be in a commercial anymore. It's too exhausting. So yes, those were really good times. But yeah, I went there for 2 weeks. The commercial never aired, and I still got paid, and it was an awesome time. And yeah,
jealous.
That was pretty cool.
Was it
like Duval, bro? Yo, Duval, straight up, you better take the Old Spice guy, son.
Uh-oh, watch out, Dion Cole. He's coming for you.
I got to do some sit-ups first, but yeah. All right,
Yo, you are the new Old Spice. Yo, you're the new wave, dog. Go get your checks, huh?
All right, let's do it. All right, I get me pumped up again. No, I'm back in the mix, baby. I needed a little motivation montage here.
Yeah, do you think?
I've been a sack of shit for a while, so I'm looking forward to getting back to it. But
I wonder now, like, given how how everyone's, I think a lot of it's grandstanding, especially by corporations. I'll be honest, like, it's kind of like the white ladies in your book. They pretend to care and pretend to understand. But that's just for PR purposes. They at the end of the day, they're looking at their bottom line. But I do think a lot of corporations now are going down that route of trying to show, their solidarity and their wokeness and all this other shit.
Look, I'm happy to make money off of it.
That's what I was going to say.
If these soulless corporations want to pretend they give a fuck, I'm happy to make as much money as I can off of it. And then when I'm in a position of power, then do some work and actually make things right. But it's all paper thin. But that's the thing too. It's like, you had girls on, again, Instagram talking about this company, silence is violence. But I'm like, I don't need Master Lock to come out with a fucking statement on Black Lives Matter. It's just there's some corporations, I just don't give a fuck what their opinion is. So that's that kind of balance where you're just
Rycar deodorant supports Black Lives Matter. It's like, what the fuck?
Dyson vacuum cleaner is talking about I was like, I don't give a fuck. There was just a bunch of white people in Switzerland. I better they stay silent on the issue.
I do think it's in the short run though it's going to be helpful, especially for a guy like you or Chase. I mean, they're going to want more people of color, more women in things in Hollywood and in commercials and in corporate roles, so that is a benefit of it. But
you're half black, you good?
I don't play that way on TV, man. Look at my face, dude. I look like a fucking former state trooper.
Time in the sun, man.
I look like a goddamn state trooper. Okay,
you should fucking do. No way. That role is not going anywhere either, man. For every black role that I get, my ass gonna need to be arrested by someone who looks like me. So.
I've been trying to tell Randy, man, he's good no matter what, bro. He's good.
Yeah, you just gotta lean into it. You gotta,
That's why I tell Randy to. A lot of times I tell Randy, I'll be like, Randy, it's all good, dog. Just relax, dog.
Go to Stash Out.
I did a spot and Derek Gaines was headlining as a black comic out of New York, really funny guy. He was headlining at Laugh right before I left, and I told Chase this. I was sitting in the back. He was like, "Oh, you going off to LA?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from New York, but I was living up here. I started coming up here. I'm gonna go out there for a bit, see what it's like." He's like, "Oh, you'll be all right, man. You got good villain face. They'll give you some work." I was like, "Excuse me?" He said, "Villain face." I was like, "I don't know if that's a compliment, man." He's like, "Yeah, man, they'll fucking pay for that."
Villain face. You got gravitas. You got gravitas. And I can see you being some serious hard hitting motherfucker, man. So you find your role, but it's an interesting time.
Sir Hoffman. He's the Hoffman. He's the new Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman? Oh God, yeah. That's a lot. It's a tall order, Chase.
Philip Seymour?
Yeah.
Which Hoffman?
Philip Seymour.
I don't know, man.
I gotta get fat and bald.
Yeah, man, he ain't there yet. Come on, man.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's interesting when you see castings now because I really don't work much. I do a lot of voiceovers these days, but I haven't done much stuff in front of camera. But I did get an audition for some Law and Order pilot, and they're casting black. It's they're going but not just black. They're biracial, multiracial. It's just something dad's white and they're really trying to
light skinned black guys are in again.
Hey man, yeah. What did I say? Old world, was it old world black is new or new world black is in or some shit? I don't know, man. Fucking, I just want to. I'm just trying to be a human being. It's I'll play the game as much as I have to, but
how did you get into the acting part? Because did you take acting classes, or you just went to an audition and kind of got the ball rolling?
Yeah, man. I was just when I got to LA after my coffee shop, I was just let me see what we can do here, and I just sent my headshot to an agent, pimp this runaway slave hair out, and then they were just okay, yeah, you look unique and exotic. Let's throw you in shit, and I just kind of rolled into it. I've never, but at the same time, I hate acting. Stand-up acting are the entire. I fucking hate it. I can't stand saying other people's words. Yeah. I hate that shit. But that's why I like doing those commercials where I'm just in a bar with a beer can. I'm just that's as far as my acting goes. I'm not trying to be in the scene, on set, because I don't know. I hate being microanalyzed creatively. I don't know. Do you want to act? Are you guys I'd love to be in a sitcom kind of thing, or?
Chase probably more than me.
Yeah, I do a little bit of like kind of like what you do too. You know, I've been doing it probably since like 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
You know, I've always kind of been just to be quite honest with you, man. I've always been a type of person that just always was interested in doing multiple things. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
so you're into the whole spectrum of just like the creative process. Like you'll do, whether it's on stage or in front of a camera, like you're down just to do it.
I'm down to do it. Yeah. Because I really like this thing, you know, and I want to try to be good at as much as I can, you know? So, you know, some people have different mechanics to that. Some people focus on one thing, you know, they try to get really, you know, they get good at that. They know. And then once they master that, then they start tapping into other areas that they feel comfortable with. But you know, yeah, I like everything, you know. Randy, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I feel like the voiceover stuff would be interesting for me because I got a face for voiceover. You know what I'm saying? I would act.
You could do some Ford pickup truck voiceovers, man. You got that. I mean,
be the new Mike Rowe.
yeah, dude. Honestly, man. I mean, there's so much of that work out there now, just because, you know, live productions, like they're really, you know, those are a pain in the ass right now with the COVID restrictions. So there's a ton of fucking voiceovers out there now.
Yeah, man. That guy Mike Rowe must make fucking cake. He does everything, man. He does the dodge.
It's hard work to get into, but once you're in, man, it's like.
Randy's got. Dude, we're about to make Randy mad money, son.
I hope. I'll kick you guys back a piece.
I'm about to hit up my peoples. Randy, I'm about to make you the new Wrangler, motherfucker. I'm about to make you the new motherfucker. Yep, the new Ford. Ford. You got that rugged look, son.
Man.
John Deere too, son. John Deere too.
That's my audience right there.
Yeah, there you go.
People who drive tractors. I wonder how many people listen to this podcast that drive a tractor. DM me if you know how to drive a tractor. I'm doing a little informal poll.
See, but then go back to here's crazy ass Duval. Like in my travels, I've seen the World Dairy Expo in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, Jesus.
Is something I'd love to attend just because I'm just like, I want to date a white one who's like a dairy expert. Like there's just something so exotic to me about that. Like people are just like, you know, like Asians exotic or like Latinas exotic, and those are beautiful women. But there's just something about a girl in Wisconsin whose job it is to analyze dairy. I don't know. That's where I'm at. So my point is,
you want the whitest white woman you can find.
We can get you on a tractor if you come with me to Madison, Wisconsin.
Randy,
what's up?
There's something about Midwest white woman, son.
Yeah, man. A dairy farmer's daughter. It sounds pretty good to me. You know, she got land. She got land. That's worth something. I'll get on that will. Get a piece. It might be beachfront property with the way global warming is going. Who the fuck knows?
Dude. That shit's sooner, man. We ain't gonna be here forever, man. Get to the plans.
So I did want to ask you, do you have one good crazy story from the road from your 7 years afloat?
That I'm going to tell you on here? No, but there is one. As a matter of fact, Reno, Nevada, because the show Reno 911, like you watch that and you don't really know what the fuck Reno is. You're just like, oh, here's like a random place they chose. Reno 911 is a documentary about Reno, Nevada. Like that is exactly what that city is like. And I didn't realize it. Like I pulled in one day, I was just on some fucking drive from LA back to New York. And I get to this motel, and like, I'm trying to like check in and the guy just speaks German. Like he just didn't like no English. Like not like, he's Spanish, speaks, Spanish or like, Asian, like just like German. I was like, okay. I'm like, check in. And he's like, and I was just like, and he didn't know how to use the machine. And I was like, so I just left. Then I go to the next hotel and I check in, and I don't know if you guys have ever been in a situation where like your brain's like, oh, you might die. Like that legitimate, like, oh, like this is it kind of moment. I opened the door to my hotel room and everything's covered in white sheets. Oh, shit. So like, and like when your brain doesn't understand what it's seeing kind of thing. Yeah. So like I opened the door and I thought I was in a murder scene. Like I thought like,
mob hit.
Like it's so fucking creepy. So like that set off the night. I go to the casino, after I check in and like I'm drinking and this guy's next to me. He's like, oh, I heard you from New York, man. Yeah, I'm a dreadneck. You want to ramble?
What the fuck?
So he had dreadlocks down to his ass. He was like a juggalo, you know. He had like a bandana, dreadlock down to his ass, and he's just like, "Yeah, me and my girlfriend, we're gonna ramble." And like, I shit you not, all I remember from it is a video that I took, and we had chalices of like pina colada that went down to your ankles. There's like a neck strap, so like you wear it and you just drink this pina colada that's the length of your body. And I just hung out with these fucking psychopath Reno people.
Rambling. I don't even know what rambling is, but you rambled with crazy fucking folks in Reno.
Yeah, I survived. I don't know, man. It was the craziest night, and they were just saying some wild shit, and like they're like buying coke off the street, and fucking like just bartenders who have like knife slashes across their face,
God.
Who look hot, but other than the knife slash across their face, it was just the wildest fucking stuff.
Duval.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. You know who you are?
Uh-oh, here we go.
You are the Black Randy, son.
Just hanging out with strangers.
You just explained my friend, son. That's crazy. That's exactly what Randy does.
I like getting drunk with strangers, man. It's fun meeting new people, man.
Randy will find himself talking with a bunch of cops that yell at them after, and he's drinking with them. Like that's
I love people, man. America's the best fucking place, man. It's the strangest group of motherfuckers on this planet, all trying to like call ourselves a country. And like, I swear, by driving into a new city, drinking alone, and then finding some shenanigans to get into.
Yeah, it's adventurous. It's adventurous, and I always say, I don't necessarily. I know you love people, Duval. I don't necessarily I don't love groups of people. Groups of people are fucking are they get that mob mentality. Whenever you get people
one-on-one.
Yeah. Individuals are great. Groups of people. I feel like people lose 30 IQ points when you put them in groups of bigger than 5. I mean, literally they just lose all sense of rationale. But that is definitely a fun part about driving across the country and doing comedy in different places is getting to meet some of these crazy fucks that we share the country with.
Yeah, man, you're just like, oh, I get it now. You know what I mean? And it makes you feel a little bit better where you're just like, all right, it's not as bad as like the news is telling me. I mean, it's bad, but ultimately we're all just trying to drink and finger fuck, and like that's like the extent of really the American.
Yeah, my buddy likes to say it's hard to hate up close. If you get to know somebody, it's hard to hate them.
Yeah, because you're just like, okay, I get it. We're all, like 2 beers in, like we're all exactly the same person.
We're
for the most
just
part.
trying to get by. Everyone's just trying to figure out how to live their life. At the end of the day,
everyone just wants to pay off some bills and have enough to like bullshit with people that they like. Man, I don't know. It's like we all give ourselves a bad rap, but like
Well, I think it's really really simplified. I think we just make it a lot more exemplified. You know what I mean?
More difficult for each other by not having that understanding going in.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is like the shit people say to each other on the internet that they wouldn't say to each other in real life, I think, like, speaks volumes, It's just like most people, like, have a good, I don't know. I don't know. At this point in life, I'm just, like, trying to enjoy myself.
Exactly.
As you can tell. But this is the outfit of a man who's given up. And, like, I'm just trying to, like, find pleasure where I can and just, like, make life less complicated and, like... I don't know, just try to enjoy this shit as long as I can.
As we get close to the end here, so what's next in the agenda for you? What's in the pipeline for projects? What do you got coming up? You got anything going on? You working on anything?
Well, I mean, I got my podcast.
Nice.
My
what's
podcast.
That? Let the people know.
I'll plug it if you don't mind. Ouch My 30s. So it's just me
Ouch My
talking
30s with Duval Culpepper.
That's it. So yeah, just trying to create more content and just like make my own platform. I think obviously that's the game right now. And just kind of, you see like the Andrew Schultz of the world where they just kind of did it their way for a really long time. And then the things started to gravitate towards them. So like what you guys are doing is, very inspiring and great and just consistency, man. Cause so few people have the consistency, brother. Like that's the thing. And that's why it's so awesome you guys do.
I love you see that because Chase and I always tell people that whenever they ask about, how to start a podcast or, any tips or anything like that. And, ours is done well. It's not the fucking Joe Rogan podcast, but that's the thing we both tell them. It's just consistency. If you say you're going to put out a podcast every Wednesday at 6:00, you better fucking put a podcast out every Wednesday at 6:00. You know what I'm saying? You can't miss a week. We haven't missed a week in fucking almost. This is our 5th season, 5 years. So we're 4 years, 2 months in.
Yeah,
haven't missed a Wednesday. So that's a big part of it for sure.
Yeah.
So where can the people find you, Duval?
It's DuvalCulpepper.com and Ever the Outsider is my Instagram. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, just my website and my Instagram is where I put most of my content. So, yeah, if you have any interest in seeing what I'm doing, that's where to find me.
So go check him out, folks. DuvalCulpepper.com.
Go check him out, man. I mean, for me, man, I'll just leave you with this. I feel like, same thing like Randy said, we've always appreciated you. I think we've always, liked what you did, like what you do. I really believe, that you can, I don't know, I just feel like you have like a voice in this thing that people need to hear. So hopefully you keep doing it, man, because I think you're gonna do good things.
Yeah, definitely different perspectives. So go check them out, folks. You can check me out on Wednesday in Arizona at Stand Up Live, the Sidney Smith monthly show. I'll be there Wednesday night in Phoenix at Stand Up Live, and then I'll be and this weekend I will be in Raleigh, North Carolina at Good Nights Comedy Club, opening up for the great and powerful Jeff Dye. And then you can follow me on Instagram at Randy Valero, Chase at Chase Abel. Get in his DMs, white ladies. He's looking for you.
I knew he was going to say something.
Yeah, he's got me. All right, guys, that's it for this episode. We thank you for tuning in. We'll check you next Wednesday, but that's it for now, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Love y'all.
All of the happenings now, I'm moving forward as I'm backing them down. Strange how your brother's off a nap in the pound. I gave no gaps, not even crack of a smile. Take a nap, respect the cap and the gown. I'm in the mountains trying to master the sound. Send a signal when I touch to the ground. It's all official, take a good look around. Will they miss you when you're no longer found? I'm slinging solely off word of mouth, the word is out. Roll the farmer's joint and hold the crown. Agreeable women move with me and keep it 250s. Bring your friends, I got the crew with me. Whiskey shots get it poppin', I don't know stop though. Don't pass it without tapping the bottle. It's only fun if you make it tomorrow. I do this to the point of no return. Can I kick it? They look sore was dubs and pass the mic along. Slow dissolving like the body of Christ. I lose the moment, I try taking your life. Imagine even trying to take your advice. Nothing suffice, I need nada. They're backstabbing for green dollar. Poor schemes, you seem novice. I find it strange you put your faith in strangers. I'm who you run to when it come to favors, but duck when it's time to pay up. You shit on the ones that care for you over paper. In constant competition with niggas you chill with, but label haters, I don't even blame them. I live beyond resentment. Soon as you moving, they be acting different. They want success but always lack commitment. My journey's longer cause how I was brought up. Never ask nobody for nothing, you'll never owe them. Before you forgive them, remind yourself how they tried to get over. Take your issues and own them, apologetic to know as soon as I inhale the lavish aroma. My vision visit limits, passion persona. I swear I be zoning. My taste in women's exquisite, done had the baddest moaners. Enjoy every minute living until I can't recall it. Hitting scars from past opponents while they wear theirs like memorabilia from classic moments. Y'all was asking for it, I was getting to it. You waste your time complaining and never change shit. Lame shit, on the same shit. When you talking big game, know who you playing with. You talk about the ones you know to those you don't. Like they don't know you just a fucking joke. That shit the strangers. That shit the strangers. That shit the strangers. That shit the strangers. That shit the strangers.
Raise a Bro podcast, you fucking bitch.